yet again going to be using my bishop button-up pattern for the sleeve. And here, let me show you a sketch of what I worked out this to look like. It's gonna look like this. So here you've got the tube dress and the straps and the sleeves. Now these have 3/4 sleeves, but I'm going to make the sleeves full length, and if I change my mind I'll make them shorter, which probably won't happen. I have 1.5 yards of this fabric, so I definitely have enough for however big of a sleeve I want. Okay. I'm going to cut these sleeves out individually because they're too wide for the fabric. Now when this sleeve doesn't have a cuff at the bottom, it's called a butterfly sleeve. You know, I always think how it's funny how people spend money on paperweights. And then I think, you know, these books are probably more expensive than their fancy paperweights. That's kind of all they're good for now. Okay, so you may notice the change of scenery. I have moved I'm filming this video in a different location, so bear with me. This is a new machine, I've never used it before, but I figured out how to thread it, so I think we're doing pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to understitch this piece. I just ironed it. This fabric is not liking me. Okay, now I'm just going to go around the edges and serge them together. I understitched and pressed this piece. I've got the straps pinned to the dress. I'm just going to top stitch them on, and I think that's the best way to attach them. It's cool. This machine has an automatic thread cutter. So that's what it's going to look like. Probably probably should have some sort of stiffening agent on here just to make it look a little better, but I'm concerned since this is such a delicate material that the glue will just like show through and then make it worse. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the monstrous lighting in here. But I was having such a hard time getting this to look good that I actually decided to put her on the dress form, and it looks like what the problem is that this is supposed to be here, and that allow this to go down farther in the back and front. So I am going to open this on both sides and then put it back on and pin it into the proper location and then sew it, because this is not going to work at all. It's really bad. It's just, it looks bad. And as soon as you go like this, it works out just fine. Who decided to come up down here and bother me? Or visit. Visit's a better word. A little nester. Got into another fight, but he's all better now. He probably wants a snack. It's usually what it means when he comes down to visit. He's a good boy. Good boy. Good thing I didn't backstitch too much on this. One thing I've taught myself is that assume you have to take it out and do it over. And that prevents you from sewing something so much you can't undo it. So never make your stitch length too tight and never backstitch too much. Okay, so I repinned it, and it looks much better. So now I'm just gonna measure this out. Well, really I'm gonna measure this distance right here and measure it out the same on the other side. But I think this is exactly what I needed to get done. Oh, look at this. I stopped sitting there for a minute and he steals my spot. This has got to be remedied. That's more comfortable anyway. Let's see if he takes the bait. That's a good sign. It's also a good sign. Ooh. Oh, maybe. Now, seeing as he hasn't gone back to the seat, I'm going to call this a win. Now he's lying down. Perfect. Now, I have to admit something. I did this out of order. I haven't serged the sleeves yet, so I've got to go serge the sleeves. So I serged everything and I pinned everything together. I'm just going to sew it together. I pinned the sleeve on and I'm going to sew it. I'm going to try, see if it works. Wish me luck. Again, I'd like to apologize for the bad lighting. But the way I did this hem is I stood on the edge of the hem until it wasn't tight at the front to get my floor length. And I think I'm going to measure from there up a little bit. And then I use this nice feature on my dress form. It's designed for creating hems. So I just made a line of pins. And I'm going to measure down from these pins to the point where I marked with my foot. And then I'm going to measure down, and that's going to be my hemline. And then I think I'm going to make hem out like an inch or a half inch above that. And that's going to be the length for this dress. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from this pen, which is my chalk line, or my pin line, down to this pin, which is my actual length. And it looks like this is 6.5 inches. So then, at every pin, I'm going to make a mark at 6.5 inches. Now, ideally for this step, you would use a chalk machine, and I'll try to insert a picture here. And what you do with the chalk machine is you have the lady who's wearing the dress stand straight and have your chin level, and then you squirt the chalk all the way around. But A, I don't have a chalk machine, and B, I don't have anyone who could measure it for me. So this is the best I can do. And this dress isn't extremely formal, so if the hem is a little wonky, it's okay, nobody will notice. So now, since this is actually the floor length of what I want the dress to be, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it at this length and then hem it, instead of making it longer and then hemming it to this length, because I don't actually want to step on the hem. And it really doesn't need to be that long. This is going to be more like a church dress. It's not a formal dress. And I think just above the floor is plenty long enough. If anything, it could be like an inch or two shorter. But the sleeves are quite long on here, so I think having a longer hem will also mirror the sleeves and will look nice. Now this, I might be able to use for something else.
I really enjoyed making this dress. It was definitely a challenge for me, especially attaching those sleeves to the rest of the dress. You can see that in the back it's a little wrinkly, not quite perfect, but I think I did an okay job. Little more adjustments if I ever make this again. I like the colors. I think it's really nice. It does match my skin tone quite well, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do about that. But I'd like to say thank you for spending this last couple of minutes with me on this project. I'd like to extend a huge shout out to all 34 of my subscribers. You guys bring me great joy. Thank you so much for watching and putting up with me. I really enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. See you in a couple of weeks.